PrinceWilliamLife.com radio. News and information about Prince William County, Virginia.
Bill Golden with PrinceWilliamLife.com. My guest today is Katherine Mercurio Gotthardt, a local author and poet, and she's in a number of other groups, and I wanted to tell you about that. But she has a new novel out called Approaching Felonious, and I don't know if she's going to discuss, while she was putting this together and getting it ready to go out back on Facebook, back and forth, I know she was a little worried about some of the language and what her mom would think, but maybe we'll talk about that and maybe we won't. It's up to Katherine to tell us about that. How you doing?
Okay, hi Bill, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
This is neat.
So, this is our studio. So we produce, we do video, we do radio, and we hope to have PrinceWilliamLife.com radio up 24/7 with pre-recorded everything within about a week. But we are live once per week, and we have a couple of. You have given me a couple questions, and that you would like to be asked. And if you ever want to come in and be interviewed, I would love to talk to everyone in Prince William County because I have coffee from the dollar menu and I get the big cup, so I have plenty of time to talk to everyone as long as I have coffee. So welcome. So
Thank you.
you were. So how's your day been working out for you?
I was pretty busy. Went up to Baltimore Aquarium. Just got back, maybe an hour or so ago. And
Oh, how was
yeah.
that world famous Metro Washington D.C. traffic?
Yeah, 2.5 hours to get home.
Good.
No.
So this was a day trip for you?
Actually, the kids and I and some friends, we spent the night over near Baltimore, and they went to go swimming in the pool in the hotel, so they had a good time, and then went to the aquarium
Good.
today.
Went to the aquarium.
Yeah.
And so Baltimore Inner Harbor, and one of my favorite places. I used to live up there in Columbia, Maryland, and the Inner Harbor is a great place, and the National Aquarium is good as long as you don't have to drive to and from it.
Yeah.
So you have a new book out called Approaching Felonious.
It's actually Approaching Felonious Park.
Approaching Felonious Park, and is that a real park or?
No, well, not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
I
well,
thought I
cool.
made the name up, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, now Felonious Park sounds like a park where felons hang out,
Doesn't it?
doesn't it? So did that have anything to do with anything?
Nothing whatsoever.
Well, that's how good a guesser I am.
Well, I heard the word felonious, and I thought, what a cool word. I hadn't thought about the word in a long time, and someone said it out loud, and I thought, I want to use this as a title, and so I changed the spelling on it. But the book has a lot to do with poverty and homelessness, and so you do get a sense of the homeless people that are in there, and it sort of struck me as symbolic that it really is a crime that this is going on in the nation. So it sort of fits, but the
So where does
different.
this park kind of exist? I mean, is it in a large cosmopolitan area, a small town about the size of Manassas, or is it in a rural area, or?
No, it's a city. It's kind of a medium-sized city.
Okay.
Which is where the protagonist, Jezebel, works in a payday lending company.
Where we're getting to see more of those here in the Prince William area. Now, you live at the western end of the county, and I live at the eastern. But I have noticed at least 3 brand new payday lending places show up. They've taken buildings, and they must be making money at this. They've redone the buildings inside and out. Nice white buildings with blue trim. Basically says, hey, let us commit a felony on you and take your check. And
Exactly.
yeah, we can relieve you of your money to help pay for this nice building in our BMW out back.
Right.
So tell me a little bit more. So your protagonist, she's, how does this all work out? Now, of course, you want people to read the book, so you don't have to get to the end part, but.
No, I won't do any spoilers. But
Yeah.
But a lot of it is you get these cameo appearances from various characters, and so you really get an up-close look, like she does, with the clients that are coming in and why they're in there and what their personalities are, and you get a sense of how they're going to be able to pay off these loans, which in most cases they're not going to be. And along the way, she's just having this sort of crisis that she's been in this, quote, industry for so long, and she's afraid that she's stuck in it. Because it's not like you can go out and write a resume and say, hey, I worked at payday lending,
That's right, I know how to cash checks.
Bank,
Right.
So it kind of goes into, she's nervous about the other end, the collections end of it, because she's not real sure how that goes. And so I won't give it away. But in the meantime, she's got a rotten relationship going on. So, she's not a happy camper. In the middle of it, she keeps visiting this park, and she has kind of a mystical experience there.
And is it a park like a city park? It's got places for kids to go play, or is it a park with like a lake and you walk around it? Or what kind of park is this?
This is basically a walking park with fountains, and assumably we would have some kind of formal gardens. Although you get the sense from it that it's not really kept up all that much. It's not very.
Well, that's definitely not in Prince William County.
No,
No.
no.
We have great trails and we have places to walk. We
Right.
just don't have like a walking park per
Yeah.
se.
Well, you know what I was thinking too. There's a little park in Occoquan where you walk through, and it's got the gazebo. And it
Yes,
has-
it's about 40 feet by 40 feet in
Exactly,
size.
right,
Yes, a postage stamp size
exactly.
park.
So this is maybe like 10 or 15. Something.
Oh, okay,
That's
cool.
where but she's going in the winter, so you're not really getting all the flora and fauna described there.
Okay. And to those who are in Occoquan, I love Occoquan. I'm there all the time spending money. So,
Right.
I didn't mean anything by saying you have a postage stamp size park. No, no, no. Okay. Who are some of the other characters in your book?
Well, there are the people that she works with. One guy in particular who's got a really good sense of humor, kind of keeps her afloat during the day. She has her boss who is just hell on wheels, and I can't even tell you where I got the inspiration for the boss. I don't want
I think we've all met that person
Right, right, right.
repeatedly in life.
Yes, yes. You might recognize her. So there's her, and then there is another lady that works in the front office and kind of keeps everything together in the office. And then outside of the office, there's her boyfriend, who is a complete scumbag. And it's very obvious. We didn't have to, go
This
that
is the
way.
lower end of town, right?
Yeah. These are. She's struggling herself to make ends meet. She's kind of moved out, doesn't have family around, and you get a little bit of her history in terms of, just sort of dysfunctional family relationships and how she ended up where she ended up.
Is there a happy ending?
Is because I do not like unhappy endings. I like
Well,
victories.
cool.
Thank
We
you.
got to have happy endings.
Yeah.
Or at least a decent
Hopeful
ending.
ending.
Hopeful endings.
Yeah.
Hopeful is good. Hope
That's
is
right.
good. So, well, that's cool. Now, your book can be bought online
Yes, it can on Amazon.
on Amazon.com, and you often do book signings. Do you have any book signings coming up?
Actually, I'm going to be at Arts Alive at the Hilton Center, and it's May, I want to say 6th. I'll have to repost that. But Arts Alive is going to be just a huge conglomeration of visual artists and quilt makers. And recently, the writers were able to sign up as members of the Prince William Art Council. So that was nice. So a bunch of us got together and did that, and that's going to lead, of course, right into our discussion of Right by the Rails. But we're
Right.
not there yet.
No.
So that's where I'll be doing the next book writing. Book signing will be in May, and we'll be having readings there too.
Okay. Now, you often hang out, and some of the other folks that are with you in your writing endeavors at Prospero Books, I believe, in Manassas.
Love Prosperos.
Yeah, and it's it's about a block away from the Manassas train station. I like it because of all the books they have in the window, and you never know
Yeah.
quite what you're going to see. Well, let me ask you, so now you're a native of Massachusetts, right?
I am. Yeah.
What part again?
Actually, Billerica, which is this.
Yeah.
It was a lot smaller. It was probably how
I have
Manassas
jobs
was.
there, so if you want to go
In
back.
Billerica?
Yeah,
Oh, no
believe it or
way,
not,
really?
yes. BAE Systems has jobs
Oh,
there
okay,
in
yeah.
Billerica. But so that's where you started out? Yeah.
And then I went to college in Lowell, so right next door. Which
Okay.
is an old mill town. It's got a lot of history.
Yeah, well, I spent time up there myself. I was in the Army in Fort Devens in Ayer, Massachusetts, and then I lived for a very short time in Leominster, and it was so interesting because I went to school up there, and every morning I would drive through and get coffee at the McDonald's, and after about 4 months, they asked me how I was doing. I said, well, this is the last time I'm getting coffee, and the people serving coffee cried. Massachusetts is cool, as So Massachusetts, how did you get to Manassas and Bristow?
Oh my gosh. By way of Colorado Springs.
Well, that is a bit of a rowdy.
For about 18 months, right?
Military family?
No, not military. On jobs, and lived right under Pikes Peak next to Fort Carson. So lived out there for about 18 months, and then drove cross country when my kids were, one was an infant and one was about a year and a half.
But at least you're in a car.
Yeah, it was
Everything
great
helps.
actually. I always wanted to do that, so ended up in Manassas area, and we've been in Bristow. It'll be 10 years this coming December.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I know we were talking about Felonious Park, but there's a lot of other aspects, poems from the battlefield.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a bit about that? Because you
Okay.
seem to have, for a native of Massachusetts, you seem to have a strange tie to a Civil War battlefield where the locals tend to think more in terms of gray than blue.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it was a real culture shock coming here. Everything up north that I had sort of grown up with was Revolutionary War, the Revolutionary War reenactments, and the Redcoats are coming, and Paul Revere and the Freedom Trail, and all of that. So when I came here,
Different war.
Well, yeah, and I kind of stumbled on it. I mean, I guess you can't help it stumble on it somewhere around here because it's everywhere. So I was looking for a place to hike and discovered the battlefields and started reading the placards, and there was this sort of reverence for the Confederate side that I had never really seen before. So that was kind of an interesting experience, and it got me just thinking a little bit more about the Civil War, because certainly in school I had studied it, but a lot of it was based on the whole discussion around slavery, and well, of course the Civil War was about slavery, was about other things as well, states' rights, and that's something that I hadn't thought of. But more, I was interested in the people of the time, getting a sense of who these people really were, because as I was growing up, history to me, every time I pictured history, it was in black and white, literally
And boring.
in my head. Yeah, and names and dates, and I just never had a sense of it. So it was interesting to me to start reading some diaries and then writing some poetry. A lot of it is in persona, based on some of the personalities that I read in the diaries and such.
Okay.
Taking
Well, we're going
pictures
to
and-
kind of get back to that because you do a lot of writing about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you, why do you write? Did you, when you were 5 years old and you began to move beyond coloring just within the lines and you grabbed a pencil, did you think, I'm going to be a writer one day?
I didn't necessarily think I'm going to be a writer one day because I wasn't career oriented at that age, but I did write. I mean, as soon as I learned how to read, I just started to write. I started writing stories and little poems and put together silly magazines, and one of them was called Puppet Gossip because I had
Wow.
a little puppet theater, and I made magazines and pictures of the puppets and little news stories about them, and it was something that I had to do. I was kind of an introvert in a lot of ways. I was a pretty quiet kid, although my parents might argue with you on that aspect. I think.
Well, in the family, how people see you, it's a little bit different in the outside. But
Yeah.
did you write for yourself or did you write for others?
Oh, I wrote for myself, absolutely. And it was a way of getting things out that I really couldn't get out any other way, in terms of communicating and putting things together in the world, synthesizing thoughts, and I'm still like that. I think it's part of it's an introverted thing. It's like I've got to sit down, I've got to mull this over, meditate, and then it comes out as something else, and sometimes makes sense, sometimes it doesn't.
I think that's the way life works in general.
Mhm.
Now, in puppet theater, did you have like a main character that reappeared, or were there multiple characters?
This was a physical puppet theater that
Oh,
I had,
it was.
actually. It was like a wooden thing
these
with
were
a little
sock
curtain,
puppets?
sock puppets and stuffed animals. Like
Whenever I
torn
go
the
to
guts
IKEA,
out.
they have sock puppets there, and
Yeah.
I am tempted to just buy 4 or 5 because I think they're so cute.
Well, I made mine
Oh,
out of old
okay.
socks, and I had decided by a certain age that I wanted to be a puppeteer for a living. This is what I want to do. I'm still going to write, but that's not what I'm going to do for a living. So yeah, for some reason, this little magazine came from this imaginary puppet world, and we got all kinds of gossip. It was sort of the cosmopolitan of the puppet world in my bedroom. It was. Actually, it wasn't that steamy. Let me even go back and
okay,
get
the
a disclaimer.
cosmopolitan. Yeah, now a lot of people Cosmopolitan used to be a lot more out there in our world. But anyway, so these puppets, they had affairs, huh?
No, actually, no.
Okay.
That came later with the Barbie dolls, but that's, that was much longer.
Well, Ken, you lucky fool, you. So was English one of your favorite classes?
Oh, yeah. And I had some great elementary teachers, in particular my 5th grade teacher, who really encouraged me to do writing. She did a lot of creative writing and was going to send me to a special program. It was a little bit too far away, unfortunately, but she really encouraged it. And then when I went to middle school, I was in a couple of different programs, basically, that focused on humanities and writing. So it was really my forte. Unfortunately, math was not, so I wouldn't be able to take that math tutor job that you were talking about earlier.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah.
But now you do teach locally, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I teach English as a second language. I also teach English composition online. And I'm teaching English as second language at the jail right now.
And, but now, so your 5th grade teacher encouraged you, and in many ways you're encouraging other people. So you founded a local group called Writers by the Rail.
Okay, that wasn't me. That was,
oh, that wasn't you?
No,
okay.
I was there at the ground floor, but that was
okay.
Cindy Brookshire and Pete and Sheila and those
Okay.
folks got together. But Cindy really wanted to up the profile of writers, and one of the first things she did is made it able for us as writers to join the Arts Council, which was big because writers are artists, and so she wanted us to be recognized in that manner. And then put together Right by the Rails, which is, we've got networking and just we're putting together some workshops and some other ideas. We're going to get together during Arts Alive.
And there's a Facebook group.
There is a Facebook group, yep.
It's a pretty lively group. I belong to the group.
Yes.
I don't write, so I just hang out with the people that do. But it's a very lively group, and there's always things going on.
It is, yeah.
So
it's great.
Now you do some fundraising in the community too, through various groups. What kinds of, if someone wanted to help out in Prince William, how could they help out through one of your groups?
Well, the group that I started almost simultaneously, and it started to get real confusing there for a while.
Well, that explains why I'm confused.
Right, yeah, you can be confused because we are. No.
Well, that's good. I'm glad I have your permission. Thank you.
So let me separate that, because there's Right by the Rails, and that's more networking for writers. The group that I started is called Writers for a Cause, and when I got my novel published, I had been donating proceeds from my books. So for instance, the Battlefield book, I'd be donating proceeds to Burnsville Courthouse Historic Center, or Prince William Preservation Society, a place like that. And with my children's book that I have, I was donating to Clean Community Council. Well, I realized that all these people, all these authors who are making no money, are basically doing the same thing. So what I wanted to do is get them together all in one group, put them on a web page and say, hey, you know what, if you're looking for a really good read by professional writers and you want to help support causes, go ahead and buy some books from our authors and websites, and show up at our readings and signings, and you can feel good about what you're reading, and you can feel good about what the money's doing also.
And the group really is, well, whether it's Writers by the Rail or Writers for a Cause, the number of authors continues to just grow.
Oh, yeah.
People who write in the local area and all. And if it wasn't for you and Cindy, I got to tell you, I wouldn't have a clue that there was ever anywhere near so many people. There are easily probably 3, 4, even 5 new people kind of popping up each week. And
I would say so, yeah. Yeah, and I don't remember what the stats are as how many she's got on Right by the Rails. Writers for a Cause, I think we're up to, maybe 20 authors and 25 or so books. So, and the Writers for a Cause isn't just local.
Right.
So, we've got a lot of local writers, but we've got some too out in the West Coast, and so that's kind of going in a different, expanding in a different direction, because it's expanding nationally, but bringing it back home to Prince William too, because we have all these local writers.
And we should support local business. And unless I'm mistaken, I believe writers that you hang out with help support a winery out in western Prince William. And y'all meet there on a somewhat irregular basis?
Now they had a book signing out there, and I wasn't able to go to that, but I hear it was very successful. They've got pictures. They look like they had a great time. Yeah, LaGrange.
LaGrange
Is where they go out, and yeah, they're volunteer wine pourers, and
that
must be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, well, Prince William. One of the things I really like about Prince William, it's a cool place to live in the U.S. We have water, we have mountains, we have bad traffic. We have great schools, we have Civil War battlefields, we have Northern authors that write about the Civil War battlefields. We're near Richmond and we're near Washington, D.C. We have an interesting county, and it is so cool. But now, okay, so you do all this writing, you do all this volunteering, you're teaching people English as a second language.
Yes.
When do you find time to write?
I write when I write.
Well,
and
that's a logical statement.
Sometimes that is in my head all night long, so I will wake up in the morning and be kind of groggy, but I'll be sitting down and spitting it out. I do a lot of writing in the first thing in the morning because my brain is somewhat fresh, or as fresh as you're going to get it. You're getting, the remains at this point.
Well, that's why I'm drinking a large cup of coffee.
I thought about doing that before I came here, but didn't want to get lost and be late. So yeah, I do that, and then I've got some time on weekends, and the jobs that I do tend to be part-time, and I can schedule them at different times and fit things in between because I have the kids also, and I've got to fit their schedules in. So, and honestly, I'm a kind of person that I need a little bit of structure, but too much structure for me is just really suffocating. So I like to be able to say, okay, I have this idea I'm going to write this morning. Now, for a novel, I got to tell you, writing a novel is hell.
Do you outline first,
No.
or you kind of go with the flow and
Yeah.
fix it later?
The only way I was even able to write this novel is because of National Novel Writers Month, and that's basically you write 50,000 words or more in 30 days. And that's how I did Approaching Felonious Park. I sat down and literally you just kind of barf this stuff out. It is just, and it's bad. It is bad, and I was like, I'm not going to do anything with this. It's just, and then a writer friend of mine read it and said, you need to do something with this. This is really good. Crazy, But yeah, so I did.
But it's good to have a friend like that rather
Yeah.
than them go, interesting.
Right. No, and this lady was an editor, so she knows,
Okay,
she knows
good.
what she's talking about.
So she basically
Yeah.
said, what she didn't say was, this could be fixed, and you could do great things if
Right.
you fixed it.
Yes, yeah, and she really encouraged me, and it took a lot of work, but I don't have a very long attention span, so writing a
That's
novel.
why this is a short program.
Yeah. Oh, good. See, okay, good. And if you keep me talking, I'll just talk all over the place, and we
That's
won't get
okay.
anything done.
We wander all the time.
Okay, I feel better about that. But to sit down and write a novel is just horrific for me, and especially because, usually within the first 5 pages, I hate my characters. I just want them to go away,
Why? Because they're undeveloped, or you
I get
just feel like,
bored.
you get bored. So you
Yeah.
want to wander onto something else, and
Yeah.
you don't want to exactly leave them undeveloped, but you don't want to put the time into them.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
just bug me. They're like house guests that have kind of worn out their welcome.
But they've only been there
So,
5 minutes.
I know. See how I am. You don't want to be
Oh
my house guest,
goodness.
okay?
Okay, so now when you write, we kind of discussed that, and you write whenever. But how do you write? Are you the kind of person that if you're not sitting at it, do you write on a computer?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, if you're not at a computer, do you walk around all the time saying, I have an hour and 45 minutes before I can get this down?
No.
Or do you write things on a piece of paper, put them in your pocket, hope you don't wash the pants or your jacket, or?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I know a lot of people do that. They just kind of make notes everywhere and, on paper napkins, and I rarely do that. Sometimes I'll be...
So you got a good memory?
No, I have a horrible
Oh.
memory.
Okay, well that should keep things interesting. That keeps
How's
the
that?
process.
I forget everything by the time I sit down and write it. If it's a short piece, sometimes I would go out hiking and I'd get an idea for a poem in my head, and I would actually make myself recite what I'd said because I can never remember what I said or what I thought.
Right.
But in doing that, it was interesting because I found that what I was really doing was drafting in my head. And so by the time I sat down and actually wrote the poem, something decent came out. And you hear about, you've got to do this draft and umpteen drafts, and that's true. But I also found that if I do drafts in my head, the process goes a lot smoother when I finally do sit down and type it.
So kind of molecular editing,
Yeah,
and it just
yeah.
saves a couple steps once you get it down on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, your writing is all over the place. You've done a novel, you've done poetry, you've done other things, you've done battlefields, you've done memoirs of soldiers, you've done a check cashing operation. What inspires you to write? I mean, is it just flash, quick, find a computer?
No.
And you're sitting at a stoplight too long and it's like, that guy just emptied his thing of cigarette butts on the corner. That would make a good novel.
Well, I do get characters like that.
Okay.
I just notice like strange things that, people do, or just something kind of bizarre, like what is that little object that's, sitting next to the fire hydrant, and it turns out it's a little tiny poop bag that somebody, tied up and left there. And when you notice details like that, details start to get into your writing, which is really kind of cool. And it happens and you don't even realize it happens, because you'll go back and you'll read your writing and say, where did that come from? Oh, I remember where I got that idea.
Last Saturday, I saw that poop bag by
That's
the fire
right.
hydrant, and it's become a major character.
It's because you said that. I
That's
did
right.
not.
The mystery. Who left the poop bag?
That's right.
Okay. Actually, in a lot of things we're talking about here, it's kind of interesting, because we were talking about school earlier, and I was talking about how a 5th grade teacher inspired me to do some things. And we did a thing on dog poop, and there's a service to help you clean that. So
That's
for those of you who clean up after your dog, stop it. It's going to ruin people's ability to come up with good ideas. Anyway, so now, what other kinds of things inspire you, other than kind of random things that go, that's cool. Maybe let me think about this.
Well, a couple things. First of all, I think I said that, when I'm writing, it's sort of synthesizing ideas that are coming together for me, that, I've got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it's all going on at once, and it doesn't make any sense until I sit down and put it together. And that is especially applicable for me for poetry, because poetry tends to be series of images, and one thing is a metaphor for another thing, and all of life is a metaphor for something else in life anyway. So
that's why I do Facebook. I'm trying to discover who I am and where I'm going. And
yeah, there you go.
Maybe other people can help.
So we need to find, you can put your little postings into a poem, and we could have, portrait of Bill in a poem. It'd be good. Let's do it.
Yeah, we might try that one day. So back to approaching Felonious Park. What inspired you for this, other than the appearance of all these check cashing operations throughout the county?
Well, it wasn't just the county. I mean, I have a lot of moral outrage, and I've got a little bit of a reputation for that.
So now, in saying that, are you political, or do you just have a heart 3 times the size of your body, and you want to help people?
I think that's more of it. I'm not political. I'm political in the sense that I'll go yell at politicians, and they don't really like that very much. But I'm not political because I don't like parties. I don't join parties. I pay attention to
no scraping bumper stickers off your car
No bumper stickers ever. So in that way, no. And it's more like I just want to be able to help people who are not been able to help themselves, because I've definitely been in that position. And when I looked at payday lending, a lot of the loans that have gone through payday lenders are similar to like pawn shops. And I can't even tell you, I have pawned a lot of things in my life, okay?
Well, I go into pawn shops just to look. There's a lot of interesting stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if I saw any of your stuff there. But anyway, there's all kinds of interesting stuff in pawn shops.
Yeah.
Sometimes really interesting. But anyway, go on.
So that was one thing. And then the whole idea of, in this country, we have people who are still starving, who are still homeless. We've just had this whole issue with predatory lending in the mortgage industry. We've got it in the student loan industry, which I've had the pleasure of experiencing firsthand, and that's another we could have a discussion on that separately. And so I just sort of feel this like kinship with, you know, these characters that are coming in and out and trying to make loans. And it's strange because I also feel the kinship with the person on the other side of the desk.
Sure, it's a job to them.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy in the bank that visits once a week to skim off the top, you know, is different. But for most people, it is just a job.
Yeah, yeah. And at one point, I was working for a for-profit school that has gotten sued numerous times for a good reason. And it started to occur to me by doing that, I saw what was going on with the students and what was happening to these students that were taking out loans. They couldn't pay their loans because they'd go to school, they weren't prepared for school. You know, they had learning disabilities.
They got talked into taking out a loan.
Oh, talked isn't even, yeah. They got promised things that, you know, that would never happen. And here I was working for the school, and I just started having a real moral dilemma with that, because I felt like, even though I was working on the academic, I was really, I was enabling that sort of relationship between the school, that predatory lending basically, and students. And they really, those schools and the lending companies really target disadvantaged populations. You know, people who don't know anything about finances.
Right.
People who will never be able to pay these loans back. So, you know, payday lending in the book is a metaphor for any kind of predatory lending. You know, you can plug that formula into basically any industry that you have people taking advantage of other people. And that's what it's about.
Okay. Well, and you may have heard that a local technical school, ACT College, didn't bother to open its doors on Monday, and now all the students, 3 different campuses locally, pursuing their college degree, they have no clue where they're at.
I didn't realize that happened with ACT. That's really
It
recent.
literally just, the administration disappeared in the night, and have to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Well, kind of what's on your calendar here over the next few months when it comes to writing on? Do you have another book in you? Another poem?
I always have poems. They'll just sort of pop up and I just put them on. Sometimes
Are these
I stick them on.
haiku, or these short little ditties, or are these like on page 17?
Oh, no. We don't ever do page 17 unless it's
Okay.
Actually, I did a short story recently, and there was 17 pages. I've got, well, the poetry just sort of comes out, and a lot of them are haiku and a various shorter form of haiku. And I like those.
You can get a shorter form than haiku?
Yeah, and I'm not pronouncing it right because Leigh Geiza, who is on Right by the Rails, introduced me to, and I think it's called Hayaknu. And I have to check it. That's not the right spelling, and that's not the right pronunciation.
And I had to follow up with her because way back when, it only took me 6 months to get everything up and running here. And this is our second program, and I had talked to her back in August or September, and I was going to interview her when she had a book coming out. So if you are listening or listening to the live transcript, I apologize. I will find you. But on your calendar now, you've got what else coming?
So I've got that going. I've been marketing the approaching Felonious Park because I'm trying to raise money for the food pantry. At,
of Manassas or Prince William or?
Bull Run Unitarian Universalist in Old Town Manassas. So I've got to sell about 30 more books so I can finish up donating.
Well, I will buy one. And
well, no, I'm giving you one as a gift. I appreciate you having me.
And you know, one day maybe I can join you at Bull Run. I am a Unitarian. I don't go to any particular Unitarian church. I used to go through the mail. I know that sounds strange, but I went to the Unitarian Universalist Church out of Boston because I had lived overseas for many years.
Okay.
There was no Unitarian churches. So they actually have the Unitarian Universalists worldwide, and it's so they have a lending library, so when they talk about books and everything else, this was even before the internet. You would like send a letter
and say, correspondence course. And
yes. Let's discuss the 7 principles of, and it would only take you 6 months to get everything back and forth. But maybe I should go to Bull Run one day.
Yeah, do that. It's a great place, and I've really been able to explore different aspects of spirituality there, which I like because I'm very much interfaith. See how I am? I don't like to be pegged down to anything.
I know. Well, I don't know. So I tell people that I pray to whom it may concern. And we were kind of talking about this on Facebook about a week ago, the miracle is not how prayers get into God's inbox, but the fact that God doesn't care who you are or God, in whatever form God really is, but that God says, all requests are equal.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do.
I love that. That's why I stole your quote and put it up there. I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, so glad to meet another Unitarian.
Yeah. So I'm doing that. I'm marketing the books, and then I do have my novel, which I did National Novel Writers Month again, and this is going to be a novel different because it's going to take some research on my end, but it's a...
Doesn't that take attention span?
Yes.
Oh,
See, isn't
my
that awful?
God.
I know, that's killer. It's really painful. I got my 50,000 words, so that was good.
Oh.
But this is a daughter of a police officer, and she is a heroin addict, and they've got a tragedy that happened in the past, and so she's got this like horrific skanky life. I mean, I don't know, this is a book that is going to have a rating on it probably. It's going to have to, but it's realistic.
So is your mom going to read this one?
I don't know.
She had some issues with Felonious Park, didn't she?
You know what? She read it, and she shocked me. She said she read it in 2 days, which really shocked me. And the only thing she said was, I really can't show my teacher friends this.
So your mom is a teacher too, huh?
My mom's a teacher's aide. She's been
okay.
a paraprofessional
Up
forever.
in Massachusetts still, or where is she at?
She's in Florida.
Florida's cool.
Yeah, she's been there. She was in Massachusetts for many years, and then migrated south, and she's been doing that. And she keeps saying she's going to retire next year, and it's still not next year.
But if it's fun or you kind of like what you do, I like myself. I can't see myself ever retiring.
Yeah.
Nice big heart attack one day and it's done with. But retiring, what would I do?
Oh, I don't want to think about it. I'd be bored silly.
I would too. So my idea of retiring is to find another job. I want to thank you for coming in today.
Oh my gosh, it's been a half an hour?
It has been, actually, I think we started a few minutes early, so it's been easily a half hour. But
I'm shocked.
we could maybe go on a few minutes. So you spend a lot of time throughout Prince William, right? Mm-hmm. Do you still write for the newspaper or write for Inside Nova or?
Right now I'm writing for PW Business. So,
okay, PW Business.
Yeah, because I was doing News and Messenger, the community columns, and they kind of shifted things around, and so now I'm doing the once a month, that's their business magazine.
Right.
Which is kind of neat because I get to go out and talk to different business owners that are doing some innovative stuff. Got to talk to a chocolate maker. No, that was a really good one.
We have a chocolate maker in Prince William,
yes.
or near to Prince William?
Yeah.
I mean, we got a winery, why not a chocolate maker?
Right, yeah, it's, he does this from his basement, and it's a Potomac chocolate.
Okay.
It's really good chocolate. Little plug for Potomac chocolate.
Yeah. We'll have to check out Potomac chocolate.
Yeah.
So what other kind of businesses have you run across? Now that you're in Prince William Business, so is it like princewilliambusiness.com? Do they have a website for the magazine or?
No, this is a magazine that I believe goes out once a month. It goes to the chamber members.
Oh, okay.
And people who are related, and I'm not quite sure what that means, so you'd have to.
Well, I'm a member of the chamber. I'll have to check that out.
Do you get it? You should get it. PW Business.
Well, I may get it. It probably goes to someone else, and I buy like these plastic milk crates, and I get all kinds of magazines and all. And I should read more. I read a lot. But I keep putting them in there, and then with the good intention to read. But we do belong to the chamber.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure I must get it.
Yeah, yeah. There's another one too. Is called "Let Mommy Sleep," and these
That's a magazine?
ladies. No. Sorry, this is a business that I interviewed.
Okay. Wow.
So I
can imagine what a magazine would look like. Let mommy sleep. It's been a busy night.
Right.
Oh,
the pages inside are blank, or we're too tired to write anything in there.
That's right. So what kind of business is Let Mommy Sleep?
It's great. These ladies.
Like an early day babysitting?
It's not even early day. They go and they sleep overnight, and they take care of, they'll take care of the baby when the baby wakes up all night.
It's like a sleepover nanny?
It's a sleepover nanny, yeah. Yeah.
So like you've had a bad week, you've been sick, and you need you need a week's break, so you call Let Mommy Sleep?
Yeah, Let Mommy Sleep.
That is a good idea.
It is, yeah, and especially, especially if you've been sick during the pregnancy, or, the lady said that she's got a lot of military families, one, spouse is deployed, the other has, they've got other kids. They need
Oh,
to have
yeah.
some sleep for the other kids.
When you're a temporary
so,
single parent.
yeah, yeah,
I was military, so I know what that's like.
right.
Yes. Or even when, you have a newborn,
Mm-hmm.
which seems to last for several years, and you just sleep wherever and whenever you can.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'd like to see a Prince William business called Cut My Lawn, where you can just go, it rained extra this week, and especially like this time of the year, people haven't got their lawn mowing situation all in control. That would be a good business. So if you're listening, all 3 people who are listening to our broadcast today, cutmylawn.com.
There you go.
Maybe I'll write that down and register that as a website.
Yeah, do that.
I'll just have to find people to cut people's lawns.
Oh, you're not going to cut them.
No, I'm not going to cut them.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm management. I am getting out more, but all that physical exercise might get me. I rode my bike to work yesterday, and from my house, I rode all the way up to the Chin Center, which is about 4 miles, and I rode all the way back. And my legs, the muscles are in shock because this was the first bike ride of the season. So, but thank you for coming by today.
Okay.
And as you get closer to your next book, maybe you can come in and talk to us about it.
Sure.
And we can, if you're going to go out to the winery, we can take our recording equipment out there. And if you have a book signing or something, we could do like a live broadcast.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah. And we can talk to the different authors.
Yeah.
It's really simple. There's a bunch of equipment over there, and I know if you're listening, you're thinking, over there, where the heck is over there? But we do have a bunch of equipment, but our radio station exists on a Samsung laptop available on sale from Best Buy for just $426, and it's a very nice laptop too. But we can go wherever. So if someone's having an event and they would like to chit chat live, we can bring our cameras with us so we can televise the event too. We have a ton of cameras. I think we have 6 different high definition cameras, so people can hear you and see you. And we'll be glad to do it as part of princewilliamlife.com. But I want to thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
And we are here live every Wednesday from 4:30 to 6 p.m. And as of next week, we will have a dedicated princewilliamlife.com radio station. We are borrowing from USA Job Zoo on the country station. USA Job Zoo has 12 channels of music, everything kind of music you can think of. We even have a foreign language broadcast. And we are borrowing the country station, which is, so we're going to return you to country music almost any moment. So go get your boots, sit out in the pickup truck, and fire up that barbecue because it's that time of the year and it's that kind of music. So this is Bill Golden with princewilliamlife.com. I will see you next Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because it's the best time. Take care.
PrinceWilliamLife.com radio. News, music, and local events 24/7.